Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey, this is Craig, and I have a real quick message before we get started. I just wanted to say thank you. 1 year ago today, we dropped our first podcast. No listeners, hardly anybody to interview, and you know, who the hell knew what was going to happen? And today we have almost 50,000 listeners. I think today is episode 309, and I've made some great relationships, had a ton of fun, and I've got nice interaction with a lot of cool listeners like you who I speak to through Facebook or Instagram or stuff like that. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you very much for your support. Thanks for listening. Please keep it up. It's much appreciated. If you like the show, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. If you're not on our list at everyonelovesguitar.com, sign up. You get to ask questions to the guests every 2 weeks. I send out an email. Pretty soon we're going to have t-shirts and other cool stuff like that. And that's about it. I'm really humbled. I couldn't have done this without you. And I genuinely appreciate every single minute that everybody listening to this has given me. Thank you very much. It means an awful lot. And here's to another year of lots of fun and cool stuff. Enjoy the show, and thanks. Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and we're with a really cool, just a really unique and excellent, a most excellent guitarist there with Johnny Stachela. He's a really accomplished slide guitar player, and he's maintained a tireless schedule of performing and recording in LA for nearly 2 decades. He's currently out with Duane Betts and Devon Allman, and he's their slide player and obviously other guitar player. And I don't need to tell everybody listening, if Devon Allman and Duane Betts wanted a slide player, you know, that those guys have been exposed to literally between Duane Allman, you know, I think probably Dickey played some slide, and now I'm having a brain fart now. Derek Trucks, sorry. This is what happened. Man, that says a hell of a lot about Johnny's slide playing. At 5, he started picking out Black Sabbath riffs on a kid's guitar. At 12, his mom and dad got him an electric guitar and an amplifier. And since then, he's gone on to record with Grammy Award-winning producer Eddie Kramer, who obviously produced Hendrix and Zeppelin. He's warmed up stages for guitar legends like Dickie Betts, Robbie Krieger, Mike Campbell, and others. He's got 2 solo EPs and a number of other collaborations with other artists. In 2017, Johnny and Duane played a one-off show with Gov't Mule's Abts and Jorgen Carlsson. That band was called Bando. Obviously, Matt is Gov't Mule's drummer, and Jorgen is the bass player, and those 2 guys have another project band, which is a phenomenal band if you've never listened to it, called Planet of the Apps, ABTS. Duane and Johnny really hit it off, and they wound up playing sold-out shows with the North Mississippi All-Stars at the Roxy in Hollywood, and then they opened a set for the Devon Allman Project at the Fillmore in San Francisco. So all this work he was doing led to the formation of Duane Betts and the Pistoleers, which now serves as an outlet for Duane's original material. Johnny and Duane will be on the road with they are on the road with the Devon Allman Project for much of 2018, and I was really happy. Johnny told me the tour is doing really, really well, and it's going to continue, and they've got plans for a record and a larger tour next year, which is really exciting to hear. The Allman Betts World Tour is making stops at really cool venues all over the states, including the Beacon Theater in New York, Tipitina's in New Orleans, Red Rocks in Morris in Colorado, and the European leg of the tour kicks off like now, really soon, with shows in Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, England, and Germany. Johnny, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks, Craig. Good to be here.
Likewise, man. And Johnny just had a gig last night in Ohio, and today he's in St. Clair?
St. Charles, Illinois.
St. Charles, just out of Chicago,
yeah,
man.
About 100 miles outside of Chicago.
Thanks, man. You're really busy, and I appreciate it. So let's go back a bit. What prompted you? You're not originally from LA, are you?
I am.
Oh, you are? Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay. I thought you had moved there from someone else. So how did you start getting into the business there? Because I know it's super competitive. I know it's not 1980. And, I know you hustle your ass off.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing in bands when I was in high school, and that progressed to the point where you want to get out and play gigs. So you call these venues and just hustle it. And at the time you make your own flyers and you try to get your friends to come out, and it just kind of like one thing leads to the next. You start meeting other musicians, you start, building a little bit of a base of people that know your music and want to come hear you play. And that's kind of how it all started, really. It's a bit of a hustle for sure.
What prompted you to like pick up the guitar at 5? That's like Tiger Woods starting to golf. I mean, that's not normal. I mean, that's very young. Yeah, and I mean that's not normal in a good way,
Yeah. Well, I mean, my father is a huge music fan. So there was always tons of music around the house, tons of records. And early on, I mean, he was really into hard rock, and I loved AC/DC and Black Sabbath and those kind of bands, or like when I was really young. And they started off with giving me these little toy guitars, with like one string, and I would start to learn those riffs and kind of pick them out. And silly things like my dad was into tennis, so I would take his tennis racket and act like I was Angus Young or something. Like there was just something about guitar that immediately was attractive to me. It was always there. It kind of started as just a fun thing.
When did the switch flip? Like, when did it go from a fun thing to like, I need to do this all the time and this is really a part of my DNA? Well,
when I was 12 years old, I just knew I really wanted to play guitar. I was just really into it. And at the time, my parents didn't have a lot of money, and they were like, if we're going to get you a guitar, an electric guitar, then you need to be serious about it. And they wanted me to take lessons, and I was on board. I was like, yes, whatever it takes, I'm in. Let's do this, And they surprised me on Christmas Day when I was 12 years old in a kind of a funny way, really. I wanted a guitar so bad, and they didn't give me one.
Surprise!
Yeah, I opened all the presents, and then they gave me a card, and they were like, we didn't find the guitar, and but we're going to help you look for one. And I had found one that I really, really wanted, and they didn't get it for me. But later that day, they let me kind of mope around the house for a few hours. And later on that day, my dad, told me to go out to the car to bring in some boxes or something out of my mom's car. And I opened up the trunk, and inside was the guitar that I wanted.
Wow.
And my family's in the, and they're in the window and they're laughing. And it was a pretty powerful moment for me, really. That's how it all started anyways.
What kind of guitar was it?
It was a Kramer Striker.
Very cool. You still have that?
No, and I really wish I did. It's probably the only guitar I've lost over the years, and I believe it was probably stolen out of their garage or something.
Wow.
Unfortunately. Yeah, it just disappeared. But it was a Kramer blue Striker with one humbucker pickup. It was kind of like something that, maybe like Eddie Van Halen would have played, which was cool.
Yeah.
In the 80s.
Hey, on the off chance the person who stole Johnny's Kramer blue Striker with the single humbucker is listening, hook a brother up, do a good thing, man. You'll have a lot of good karma coming back to you. Just contact me here at the show, and we'll have you on the show to do your presentation of Johnny to his original guitar. So that would be cool. Yeah. That would be really cool. So
I got guitar and started playing, and I started taking lessons right away, and I was really, really into it. And about 6 months later, my parents took the guitar away because my grades went down.
Oh man.
So, but that didn't stop me either. I would, they'd leave the house, and they're probably going to hear this now and find out for the first time that I used to, go into their room and sneak out the guitar, and I'd still play it until the headlights would, hit the driveway, and I'd tuck it back away and not act like I didn't play it or something,
Hey man, I think they know, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Because my kids have done shit like that all the time, and my wife's like, a detective. Like she'll come home and she just like, if something's a millimeter out of place, she says, "Oh," but half the time you don't say anything because it's like, how much you got to give them slack. Yeah. So they know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that. And if they don't, well, that's funny.
They just know now. Yeah.
Were you an only child, or did you have like any siblings that also played, or?
I have a younger brother.
Does he play?
Not seriously. He was really natural. I felt like he was just a real natural at both drums and his ear. He would take my guitar and learn songs quicker than I could. Keys. He played bass, but he never really got serious about anything.
Gotcha.
And doesn't play now.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You went to college after high school.
Mm-hmm.
What made you do that? Did you go there to study music, or?
No, music's what I wanted to do, but I just, I guess my parents really wanted me to, not that they encouraged music, but they also wanted me to be able to make a living, and so they were like, you need to go to school, and, you can always play music. It'll always be there, kind of thing. And so I ended up majoring in business in school, and I got a degree in marketing.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Were you playing, I guess, side gigs during the time after high school?
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I was in college for 6 years. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And I had a band that was, mildly successful in LA at the time. And we'd sell out the Whiskey and the Roxy and
which is really significant.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, at the time I didn't think much of it, but we had a lot of friends, we were in school at the time, and we had some really killer experiences. One time we were doing a show with Joe Perry's son, and we finished playing the set, and a friend of mine kind of grabbed me, and he was like, I just want to let you know that Aerosmith's in your dressing room. And I was like, you're full of shit, and I just, whatever. And I go running up the stairs to the Whiskey, and Steven Tyler and Joe Perry were up in our dressing room, and they wanted to meet us after our set, and they enjoyed it. It was just little cool things happened like that, and that was before the internet. There were, or having a camera, or, anything. Like, it's just a story. It's just something that happened.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're playing, and by the way, just to clarify, I'm assuming it took you 6 years to get through college because you were probably working and not going to school full time, the whole deal.
I was working and playing music, both.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that because I know someone's gonna be out there, man, it took this guy 6 years to get through college.
Yeah.
So
I say it jokingly, but I had to work my way through college. And I could only handle so many units at a time. And I've always been like a full-time musician on top of everything else I did,
Yeah.
So
okay.
Pretty max.
College ends. What's next?
College. At that point, I was really kind of hitting a lot of the blues jams in LA, and I met lots of great musicians that I still know to this day. A blues singer, Jessie Payo. She's based in LA, and she's wonderful, and we still perform music together now.
That's cool.
And other people along the way. Reeve Carney I met, and his brother Zane Carney.
Zane, yeah, I figured it was Zane.
Yeah, Zane was like, I don't know, 14 or 15, and I'd at the blues jams, and I'd get him set up in an amp, and Reeve was more my age, so we spent a little more time together, and we'd go jam. Johnny Lang would come down and sit in. Cool stuff would happen, and I was really focused in playing blues music at that point. I just really loved blues music. That was kind of my thing.
Were you playing slide then, or just straight up electric?
I was starting to play slide. Yeah. I had been for a little while, but I was kind of the only one that I used slide as a way to kind of differentiate myself at those jams. You end up on stage with 3 or 4 other guitar players. It's kind of ridiculous. And like, what am I going to do differently than this guy that just played and the guy that's going to play after me? So for me, and I was such a huge fan of Duane Allman and Ry Cooder. and that the sound of the slide guitar, Elmore James,
Yeah.
you know, that's what I would bring to the table. And it always kind of turned everybody's ear. And I always, ever since I started playing, I don't even think I was slide's a hard thing. It takes a while to get it down, and you're always progressing, but getting your intonation good and getting a good sound takes a lot of work.
And you also play slide in standard tuning for the most part, right?
I do. Yes. Yeah. I enjoy playing in open tunings. And it's very beautiful to do that. And there's a lot of overtones, and it's easier for sure. But I found just out of convenience that I was able to kind of relearn a lot of those licks in standard tuning. Then you only have to bring one guitar to the gig. And you could be playing a song, and I feel like I'm going to play a finger guitar solo right now, or I can play a slide guitar solo right now. It's just kind of whatever you're feeling. It opens it up where you can just go anywhere with the music in the moment.
I think the only other guy I know that does that consistently is like Warren Haynes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and that's where I learned it from.
From Warren.
Yeah.
Did you get that program he put out? That was like a long time ago, slide guitar or something like that. I
did, like the VHS.
Yeah.
That's kind of what got me started with learning some of that stuff. He's a good teacher. He really is.
Yeah.
I got a lot of information. Actually, I've referred other people that are interested in learning slide to those videos. You can still find them. I'm sure you can. But
yeah.
That was really beneficial, and hearing him kind of be able to do it in standard tuning was like, oh, well, I can try to do that. And then you start realizing that you can play a lot of your own licks and things in slide that you would normally play with your fingers. And then I think that really helps you kind of have your own voice with it, as opposed to when you're playing in a standard or open tuning. It becomes a very kind of stock thing. It can be, whether it's like an Elmore James kind of sound, or it's part of that tuning. It has a very distinct sound, which is really cool, but it's a little bit limiting also.
Well, yeah, you don't have the option to say, do I want to take this solo on a slide, or do I want to take the solo and play it with your fingers? Like you just mentioned, that is, I think, the biggest. You get a lot more opportunity, really, in a sense.
What's interesting, to me, like someone like Derek Trucks plays in open tuning all the time. So he's kind of coming from the opposite perspective, I think, that I am, where he learned to play in open tunings, and he learned all the chords and all the finger playing and everything else that he does in that tuning. You can learn it in any tuning. I mean, Albert King played in crazy tuning. You can learn, but I was already playing in standard, so it was easier for me to adapt the slide to standard.
Totally.
Because I already knew a lot, and I was able to learn more and kind of grow that way.
Gotcha. So how did you ultimately, and then you're also, we talked earlier, you're a guy that until recently, you always had a full-time gig in addition to having music full-time.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about that? Because I think a lot of people do that, and I have so much respect for guys like you that do that, because you're, you have the reality of, I got to earn a living, I got to support my family. And you're, instead of saying, well, I'm going to pack music in, you say, I'm going to do both. And that's a big commitment.
It's a huge commitment. And it's something I've always done. I just felt I just needed to have some sort of support and financially. And I got that from having a day gig, and I think I learned a lot along the way, and I was able to apply some of that marketing knowledge and things I learned to my music career as well. And you kind of learn how to navigate yourself that way. But being able to have that financial stability for me was huge, because and it enabled me to, for one, pay my bills, which can be very difficult to do playing music.
Sure.
And it also enabled me to put my own band together, and it enabled me to record and invest money to buy good gear that sounded good. All those things that can be a struggle. What you give up is that it's emotionally taxing, because you feel like, I just want to play music.
Yeah.
But you got to put in this time to do this other thing in order to do, the music as well. So there was definitely, it was a roller coaster for me. It wasn't always easy. There were times when I didn't want to work. I just wanted to play music. And navigating myself through that was a huge learning experience. And, you know, I don't think I could have got from point A to point B without doing all of it. If that makes sense.
What kept you, like, what was what kept the fire lit, that the music fire? So that, you know, that you didn't say, you know what, let me put music on hold, or, you know, maybe that's not my path. What was the thing that kept that fire lit? Because I'm sure at times that, you know, we're all human, man, that fire goes out, you know, when you're getting your ass kicked, when life is like saying, haha, you know?
Yeah, no, that's the worst feeling in the world. It really is. I got to a point where I felt like, you know, it happened once in my life about 10 years ago, where I was just under enormous stress, and I was working a lot, and I was playing music late at night, and I was so tired, and I realized I needed a break, but I didn't know how to get out of all of it. And I kind of crashed a little, you know, I crashed and burned. But what I learned was that, you know, by going through that experience and learning how to take care of your responsibilities during the day and put music on hold, at the time it felt like it was the most depressing thing I've ever been through. It really was. And you talked about that fire, or what's lit. There's just something, I think, that's inside of you, or it's inside of me, that I couldn't stop. I had to figure out a way to keep going. So I took about a few months to kind of figure out, what's my next move? Like, what do I want to do? And it could be anything. I mean, you have to learn how to be happy with what you're doing, you know? So whether that's playing music in your room at home, going out and playing gigs, doing recordings, you can still do all of that, you know? You just kind of have to learn how to balance it in your schedule is the deal. And so I think I got pretty good after going through that experience. I got good about, or better, I would say, at putting in my work and taking care of responsibility and staying focused on music and doing it whenever I possibly could, whether it was the weekend or the evenings, calling in sick if I had to. Kind of thing, you know, like, you got to pick your battles.
Yeah. So it also sounds like you, like, I know for me in the past, I said, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And I was not forgiving with the time frame. And it sounds like you got forgiving with the time. Like, you didn't say, you said, I'm going to take a few months to figure this out. Like, I would, good.
I don't know that I don't think it was a conscious decision that I'm going to, if I said that, I did take a few months, but at the time it was a few months of being depressed and not playing music.
Okay.
And just feeling like, you know what, I have to do this. And I came out of the other end of that with, I'm going to start my own band.
That was a conclusion that you came to through that.
That was my conclusion. Yeah. I'm going to take, it was more or less kind of just taking responsibility for, like, everything, the whole thing, you know, like, I've got to do this part of it to have financial security, because, you know, you can make a lot of money playing music, but when that opportunity is not there, it can be very difficult.
Yeah, you can make zero money for a long time.
Make zero money. So yeah, and so the idea of being able to find some security, and that kind of freed me up to do the music that I wanted to play, and it just kind of opened things up for me, you know, in a big way. And I think it's a matter of patience is what it is. I think at the time I just wanted to play music. I felt like maybe I've worked so hard. I deserve to be doing this, you know? And you think back, like, how did you get there? You got there from day one because you were patient, learning your instrument, learning music, and that never stops. You're always learning. You're always growing. So I think it's good to not put a whole lot of pressure on yourself, you know, and just kind of work with what you got, and know your common goal and stay on that path. Just stay on it. Yeah,
I agree with you. I think, like, I know in the past, if I've been in that situation where whenever I say what I deserve, I think that for me has been a mistake, because a lot of people deserve a lot of things, good and bad. and they don't necessarily get them, or they get them and they didn't deserve them, you know? So it's like, yeah, I deserve this and that, but really, you know, what control, you know, in the big picture, you know, you have some control, but you obviously don't have control over everything. So like, I know for me, when I backed off and said, you know what, let me just like do what you did. Like, okay, let me just let things settle and have, you know, something will come to me, or let me see. When I stopped being like willful about getting shit done, and I just sort of said, okay, whatever's, not like to sound flaky, but whatever's going to happen, you know, whatever's meant to be. But when I backed off of the pressure, it always tended to work out right, you know? And
right.
It sounds like you kind of did the same thing there, and it worked out great.
Yeah.
So how'd you wind up connecting with Matt and Juergen from Mule, and like, what were you playing? Because like I said, I love, you know, that solo band, Planet of the Apts. If you were playing anything remotely close to that, man, I want to hear it.
When I first hooked up with them, I had a band called the Railways, and we have we made one record together, and it's out there for people to hear in digital formats.
Where is it? Where the Railways, where do people find that?
Yeah, probably iTunes, that kind of thing. Cool. Spotify, wherever you listen to music these days. And they had just finished putting out their first record.
The Planet of the Apps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have mutual friends. And I think that's kind of how it came together, where they're also based in LA. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the connection there. And we had mutual friends, and I think they were looking for a gig. They were looking to play. And at that point, I was about as established as you could pretty much get in LA, with knowing the clubs, knowing the club owners. You know, I've lived there my whole life.
Right.
So I knew the venues that, you know, we could do gigs at, how to get the gigs. And they just needed that, like, you know, a vehicle to do that. So we started doing some shows together, is how it all kind of started. And we did a couple shows together. And at that point I was,
what year was this?
Oh, I want to say that was probably 2012, 2013, something like that.
Okay. I apologize, man. Go ahead. You knew how to put the gigs together. You knew the people. They wanted to do the gigs.
It's like, you know, we have this record. We want to do some shows. I'm a huge fan of Gov't Mule. I have been since the start of that band.
Yeah.
And it was a really great experience getting to know them on a much more personal level, you know. And we did some gigs together. It wasn't that, you know, we just played some gigs together basically. And through that, Jorgen has a studio in LA, and that's where they recorded their record, and he's done some other records there. And we got to talking, and I wanted to make my first EP. And so we started that project.
And he produced it.
He didn't. He kind of co-produced the first one that we did. He was there most of the time, but not all the time. And it went good. And then we decided we wanted to do another one, and he produced the second one that I put out. Yeah.
Let me ask you this as a side. The second one being Handle It.
Yeah, that's it.
Side question: what is it like when you play with a rhythm section like that? Those guys are like DNA strands woven together, man. They're not they just got together. Those guys are so linked. That must be so much easier for everyone involved. It's
unreal to play music with them. It's about the most fun you'll ever have as a musician playing on stage. Matt he's probably my favorite drummer in the world. He is my favorite drummer in the world, and he'll play really far behind the beat, and Jorgen will play behind him. So when you're playing on stage, it's like you feel like time is standing still. Like, really, like it's.
That's funny.
And it's loud.
You know what? It's funny though. When I've seen Mule like 5 times, like 4 times down here. I saw him at the Beacon, and you know, I love the band. Matt is such a hard hit. I mean, he's really a hard hitting drummer. And when then when I saw him, he's not a big guy. I was shocked. I mean, I figured he'd be like 6'3", and I was shocked. He's a slight guy really. And
he's got a huge sound, and I wouldn't even say he's a hard hitting drummer. He's got a much lighter touch than I think you would expect, but he gets a huge sound out of his drums, the way he plays them. Yeah.
Matt, I mean, he's as big a sound as anybody now to me.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. There are moments when, I mean, yeah, he's a powerhouse. Yeah. Incredible sense of rhythm. There's really not anyone like him.
So what came from that project now? You guys played together.
Yeah.
And then,
we kind of jammed a little bit. They were doing, after that, I guess they did some shows, and they occasionally would invite me to come sit in, and it was a very casual thing, over a period of time.
Cause they still have their guitarist, or was he gone?
T-Bone.
Yeah. T-Bone.
Yes, they do. They do have, T-Bone. I don't know if they're necessarily currently a band at this moment, but they are playing together. They're doing Dark Side of the Mule right now.
Okay.
That's with Warren Haynes and some backup singers. And Jorgen and T-Bone are longtime friends.
Yeah.
They've been friends forever. And I don't know, I kind of sat in with them a little bit over time, and I was sitting in with Duane and Duane Betts, and we were jamming around the same time, and we all kind of would just end up playing together in certain situations.
How did you meet Duane? Just from the scene out there? Like he lives out there, or because I thought he was from here actually. No,
he's from he's from Florida, but he lives in Los Angeles, in Malibu, and we would get invited by mutual friends and bands to both kind of come sit in, as a guest.
Okay.
And that's kind of how we started, just jamming together a little bit here and there. And I think right from day one, there was a chemistry between the two of us, so we could play off of each other. And so we became friends over time.
And then you put your thing together, and that formed the Pistoleers, and that's how the genesis of what led to what's going on today.
Yeah, well, what I did after the Railways, I did my own band for a little while, like you were saying. Yeah, and then I kind of ran its course, I would say, for a little while. And then Duane and I got a little bit, more serious about presenting his music, was what the deal was, because he's got a lot of great songs, and so we decided we wanted to make a band together, and that kind of led to where we are now.
Right. I would imagine when you had to make a decision, okay, do you give up your full-time job? It was probably daunting at first.
Finding out that you're going to be going on a world tour is really exciting. And then you realize that telling your wife and your job and all these other things, it's like, it really puts it into perspective real fast, because it's an adjustment, it's a transition. And so, it's something that you just, in your heart, you have to do it. And this is what you've been working for doing. So, a little bit of communication and a little bit of, it all works itself out. And it's turned out to be a blessing beyond, anything I can imagine, really. Great,
man. I'm really happy for you.
And you find the support where you need it. And that really helps a lot.
Well, I'm assuming that that's not going to continue, man. So I'm really happy for you. You've played some great venues on this tour, man. I mean, a year ago you're working in a marketing job, and now you're playing the Fillmore and, the Beacon and stuff like that. Yeah. What a great success story. What are some of the cooler ones that you liked, and why?
Well, I think I just said Red Rocks was kind of a top of my list, I think, for the summer. It's just a majestic place to be, but to play music there was, it was mind blowing, really. The thing is with our set there is we had a very, short set that got cut because it was lightning. So I went up and played, and I think we did Blue Sky. And then shortly after that, we got cut off, but we got to play. So I was so grateful that it happened, because with the weather up there, it can, they don't take any chances with lightning. But we've had it's been such a wild summer. I mean, playing at the Beacon Theater, along with Dickey Betts.
Acoustics there are pretty incredible, huh?
Incredible. I mean, it really makes sense why so much great music that I've heard as a fan has come out of that room playing there. It's kind of effortless. It just feels and sounds amazing.
And you said you opened for Dickey there?
Yeah, we did a show with Dickey Betts and Marshall Tucker Band.
Very cool. How much of your set is, or at least now, original stuff, and how much is like Allman stuff?
We're trying to. The way the show works is that Duane and I are doing an opening set, and then Devon plays, and we're kind of sharing the same rhythm section.
Okay.
And we try to keep. Yeah, we're trying to keep the. Yeah, it's a really cool show. And then we all kind of play together at the end. So the way the show's going, it has been all year really, is we try to focus on as much of Duane's original music as possible in the first set, but we always put in one Allman Brothers song.
That's great.
Because, the fans, they really appreciate that music, and it's, for us, it's a blast to play it. So
sure. Yeah, it would be weird to have Dickey Betts' son and Greg Allman's son not play Allman Brothers. It just would kind of be weird.
I mean, you don't want to do just that. They're
right.
Really incredible artists in their own right, and I think that's that's sort of the what's in motion right now is kind of getting their music out there and doing their thing. But we're also at the same time paying our respects and to that legacy that their fathers created. Very
cool, man. Just one question about Duane, if that's okay. I've never heard him play. I'm extremely familiar with his dad. He's been a big influence on me, both as a fan and as a player. When you're playing with him, are there similarities, or between Duane's playing and Dickey's?
Absolutely. I mean, Duane's an incredible musician in his own right, and he has his depth of musical knowledge. He's got an incredible ear, but he plays a lot like his father, but he can go in a lot of different directions as well. He's very creative with guitar playing. He might be feeling Jerry Garcia one night, and he might be feeling David Gilmour another night. Okay, but he absolutely can evoke the sound that it's kind of in his DNA. I mean, there's no way of getting it. Both his guitar playing, his singing, they definitely, the peach didn't fall that far from the tree.
The peach, that was very clever.
Kind of what we've been hearing, so I'll just say it.
The peach. You opened up for Robbie Krieger, man.
Yeah.
Now that's a guy who literally was directly involved in the complete cultural change of music and pop culture in general. And it was interesting because I saw him down here, like, I think 5 years ago or something, and it was like a small theater, and I'm sitting in second row from Robbie Krieger. It was like very bizarre, Yeah. And I was curious if you had a chance to chat with him, or if you got anything out of that experience, either musically or observationally or anything like that might have helped you out.
Robbie's a really sweet guy. Probably the coolest memory I have of doing a gig with him was being in the dressing room, and he walks by, and I play a Gibson SG, so does he. So he immediately walks over and just grabs my guitar and starts kind of playing it, and he looks in, he's like, this is a good one, He liked it. So, and I'm sitting there going, okay, well, my guitar has just been baptized by Robbie Krieger. So,
yeah, that's a great story, man. That's very cool.
I think Robbie's he's just a really sweet guy, and he's really into the kind of jazzy style music that he digs, and he just goes out there and plays. He does some Doors songs as well when he performs, but he also has his own, a jazz influence that he likes to play. So it's cool. He has a great band. It was really fun. Yeah,
it was a great set, great night. Are you working on anything that you're excited about besides this tour?
Not at the moment. It's been a grind. I've been on the road now for 5 weeks. Got about 1 more week to go, and then we just go home for a couple of days, and then we go to Europe for 3 weeks, and then we go back out in the States. So this year has been full commitment to what I'm doing with Devon and Duane.
It's great, man. I'm so happy for you. I really am.
Yeah.
You got a couple of EPs out, and you've toured with some legit rock and roll guitarists, and you are one, and you're touring with 2 of them now. What do you like and dislike about being a sideman and being an artist?
That's an interesting question. I think in order to be a really good sideman, you have to be an artist. There's a balance there. Like, I think when you're able to be the guy that can lead the set if it needs leading, then you can be really supportive in that role as well. I don't mind. I guess some people would, feel like they didn't want to be a sideman, or some people maybe want to be a sideman and don't want to be the lead man. But I feel like I could kind of take on either role if I needed to.
That makes a lot of sense what you said, that to be a good sideman, you have to be a good artist, because I guess you're thinking from, as an artist, what you need out of the sideman for support. Yeah, totally. You want to you want to give them, you want to make the show as good as possible, and the eyes are on the artist. So you want to support them in a way that they're getting everything that they need. If they're having a problem with their guitar or something, you want to be able to jump right in there and play their part or something to cover for it, so that it's seamless to the audience. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Those are all the things that go on behind the scenes that, the people don't, people like me don't really realize, think about, that's right. What happens if something happens? Well, you have to jump in, and you got to be on top of it to do that. Yeah. So you grew up in LA. It seems like you had a pretty good childhood. Yeah. Yeah, I did. I mean, I grew up in LA, and, enjoying going to the beach and bodyboarding and camping, and it was, and playing music, and, not a lot of people in LA were born in LA. So right. That's kind of, I guess, an interesting part of my story, maybe, that most of the people that I come in contact with are not from LA. They come from somewhere else. Are your folks still there? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they still live in the house I grew up in. That's wild. That's really cool, man. What kind of work did your dad do back when you were a kid? Both of my parents worked for Kaiser, the hospital, and sure. My dad was a mail courier, and my mother was a nurse. Gotcha. Both retired. You were a blues guy pretty much from day one. Yeah, I mean, when I first started, blues was always at the heart of what I love. And my first couple bands that I really dug into at a very young age were like AC/DC or Led Zeppelin or Jimi Hendrix. I didn't realize till later on that they were playing blues. Sure. That's exactly what it was. It's just, that made it accessible because it was blues played in a rock and roll format. But from there, I was able to kind of go back to the real deal blues guys, and to this day, I'm still discovering blues artists, and really studying that music. I've always loved it. Who do you like to listen to of the older guys? How far back you want to go? 50s, 60s, 70s. Looking like the Delta guys. Like, I really love Skip James, Son House. That music was so powerful. And then when you get electric, you got Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters, Albert King, and those are the big names. And then there's, Magic Sam, and you can go down a long list of other great blues artists. But and Elmore James is one of my favorites. I just love his singing voice, and the slide playing for me was just huge. Yeah, right. As a slide player, that's right. Most people that play blues or attracted to blues, I think that they're chasing some demons away. What? Well, yeah, I mean, because it's it's an extreme. You can't play blues unless you got passion, man. Totally. I mean, it's just not possible. And I mean, you can't be a good blues player unless you have passion. What is like the demon, maybe, if or the when you play, what are you exercising? What are you getting rid of? What angst or anxiety or, demons are you like dealing with or eliminating?
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one. To me, I don't think I look at blues that way. I think I look at it as just playing with emotion. And the blues doesn't have to be sad or like evil. I mean, it can be, but it can also be it can be any kind of expression. I mean, listen to B.B. King play, and I mean, that makes me feel happy. You know what I mean? When you hit these notes and stuff. So I think for me, the blues music and what I love about it is that you're taking that human spirit, which is everything. And if you're able to channel that into a sound that other people can feel, then to me, that's what blues music is all about.
Gotcha. When you first started playing professionally, what were some of the like business surprises that came about that you weren't expecting on the business end of music?
Well, gosh, I think the music industry changed so much since I was a kid and I started playing it's like, well, now it's my turn, and now there's no such thing as a record label anymore. There's no such thing as a development deal, or an A&R person. And it really kind of shifted to where everybody started you had to make your own music, and you had to market it and promote it yourself. And that was a big challenge. And I think navigating yourself through those waters and figuring out how to do that without, back when I was younger, it's like you made music, you got a record deal, and then that was the goal. And
somebody else did all that stuff for you.
All the other stuff. Yeah. I didn't know that as a guitar player, I was going to be building my own website, that. Well, now I got to learn how to build a website too, So that was definitely a challenge, and just the whole financial aspect of it. I mean, let's be real. It takes money in order to make music.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to do that. And now you can do like a GoFundMe or something and get support from other people. There are ways to do it. There's a lot of ways to do it, but it's a different ball game than it was when I was younger and had this dream of playing music.
You're really good though about like your social media stuff. You're very consistent, and you have a good balance of like you'll post stuff up there, but it's interesting. Like you'll put a pictures of your guitar or some, pretty photographically pretty place that you're walking through outside the venue. Mm-hmm. So you do a good job with it because, there's always that line where you have to walk of, wow, this guy is really a show off versus, this guy's just sharing some cool stuff. And I think sometimes that's probably a tough line for a lot of guys.
Yeah. The whole idea of social media is so weird to me to like take a picture of yourself and put it out there for other people to see. It took me a long time to kind of understand that concept. And even a bigger hurdle was playing guitar and then putting it out there for other people to see. I don't know why I felt so strange about doing that. It feels weird. It still does a little bit, but you try these things and then you see what works and what doesn't. And when you get a reaction, you realize people appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think the goal is you're trying to tell your story.
Absolutely.
It's like writing a song.
100%.
In social media, you're just trying to tell your story. It's a way to show people what's going on,
I think the reason you probably feel uncomfortable with is the same reason why everybody over 40 feels uncomfortable. We didn't grow up doing this.
No.
I mean,
yeah.
Who takes pictures of themselves all day and like shows them to somebody? That's just it's like not a natural train of thought.
A narcissist.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, but not now. Right. Like, the thing to do is, man, and like, I'm just thinking out loud, like you got to get hooked up with probably a 18 to 20-year-old and have them manage her seriously. Cause like I look at my daughter, she's 18 and that's all she's done.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a different generation.
Yeah.
The world's changed a lot. Yeah.
Dramatically. And like my sons, they're in their late 20s and that's not their thing. And they're like, right, the gaps, you know, between there, like somewhere in the early to mid 20s is the gap. And it's interesting.
I kind of found a way. I enjoy social media. It took me a while to kind of figure out, you know, that whole thing. And I think it's a cool way to kind of just share your story, like I was saying before, and interact with, you can kind of, it's weird that you can kind of know what all your friends are up to without even seeing them for a long time, you know? Yeah. So but it's kind of cool also, you know what you kind of know what your friends are up to, and you're able to put your story out there.
Well, like I said, I think you do a good job at it. You know, you do it in a real positive. I could tell you're having a good time with it because it comes across like really enthusiastic, really genuine, not like, oh shit, it's 12:15. I better get my Instagram up there. You know, my morning Instagram or whatever it is, you know, it's like, it doesn't come across that. It comes across like super genuine. So that's why I know you're having a good time.
Yeah. If I'm not feeling it, I just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can't. It's just, you can't be fake, man. I was curious if you've paid any tuition as far as like, have there been any mistakes you've made musically? I don't mean like, you know, bad notes, but moves that you made or things that you did that were mistakes at the time, and maybe the lesson that you learned from it, you know, basically just tuition that we all pay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know I don't think there are mistakes. I think, you know, I think everything's a learning experience, you know. I've taken gigs that were not my bag, not the style of music I wanted to play. And I quickly realized, you know, this is not right for me. So you just kind of move on from that, but you learn from those experiences also. And you, both musically, for one, you can learn something really cool. And you also learn like where your path is supposed to be. So you kind of get back on that road, and it makes you work harder towards whatever thing you want.
Sure.
You know, to do.
So would you have any advice that you would have liked to give yourself if you had that opportunity, you know, Johnny Stachela from, you know, 20 years ago or?
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know, the idea of, it's always kind of been a recurring theme, I guess. And I would go back. It's just, if you think about the idea of patience and just being able to kind of work through things and not get too upset about, you know, problems when they occur, and just try to like take what you can from them and move on. And I sort of feel like I did that over time. So I don't have any regrets.
That's great. That's really cool. I want to talk about something that you talked about earlier before we started the call. You talked about last night. I asked you how the show was, and you said it was phenomenal. And I asked why, and you said, well, you know, it was just one of those nights where I felt like I couldn't play a wrong note. And I said, oh, you were in a zone. And you said, yeah, basically. Talk about that experience. Like, what is that like? How often does it happen? And how do you know you're there? And how do you, once you know you're there, not like overthink things to get out of there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that's the place that any musician, or at least, you know, for me as a musician, that I'm always trying to get to, but it doesn't always happen, you know? And a lot can play into your night of music. I mean, it can be how much pressure you feel from the gig that you're doing, to having, you know, technical problems. There can be a lot of things, but some nights just really click, and you feel like last night was one of them, where I would be in the middle of playing a solo, and I would even have an idea of like, I could play this right now, and just abandon what I was thinking and go, no, I'm feeling going this way instead, and go there. And it was,
wow, you
know, just completely letting go of yourself and just playing music. And when you can get to that place, it's beautiful, you know. I wish it happened more. That's where you try for, you know, once in a while you have those moments where you feel like you're really hitting it, you know.
Does that like, you know, like a lot of things, is that sort of like, do you have periods where that'll happen, you know, once every 3 nights, and then you'll have a dry period where it won't happen for 30 days or something like that?
Yeah. I mean, you hope to get there at least once a night, I would say, and maybe a couple times, you know, but sometimes You might go 2 or 3 days where you feel like you've kind of plateaued a little bit. When that happens for me, I'll usually start working on some new ideas, and start thinking about some new things. And it's just about being creative, I think. But when those moments happen, it's when there are no ideas, and you're just in the music and you're there, and your presence is solely focused on what's happening. It's almost like you're like, a vehicle to make it happen, and you're just kind of getting out of the way of yourself.
Yeah.
And just playing pure, you know what I mean? So last night was one of those good ones. And those never get recorded, by the way.
As a rule. Is it like washing your car, you know it's going to rain? It's like when you're in the zone, no one's going to have the recording button on.
Never going to hear that one again. So that was it.
Hey man, let's talk about gear for a few minutes. I know your SG is your one of your SG. You got a bunch of SGs. I've seen you with several. What is your like go-to guitar, and like what other few guitars would round out your top?
I have one Gibson SG.
I had a bunch.
Yeah, I probably have shared pictures of other guitars on social media that are not mine.
Okay, I saw a white one. I saw then you have like a standard red SG.
Yeah, my main guitar. It was made in 2000. It's a custom shop 62 Les Paul SG, and I bought it used. That's been my main guitar now for probably about 11, 12 years. And it's pretty much the only guitar I play. I'm on a world tour right now. I brought one guitar.
Wow. What made you get an SG years ago? Did you have one, or it was just like you picked it up? What was the story behind that?
Well, I played Les Pauls, and I still do. And for a while I was into Strats and other things, and I could never make up my mind. Like, it was always a decision, like, for the gig. Like, it was like picking out your stage clothes. Like, am I going to play a Strat tonight? Am I going to play a Les Paul? And most guys would just bring both, but I was always kind of like, no, I'm bringing one guitar. That's all I need, Yeah. And for me, the SG bridge the gap between those two guitars, between a Les Paul and a Strat. It's a different guitar in itself, but it was the lighter weight to it that was attractive for me. And the neck is it's really ideal for slide playing.
In what way?
It's long, so you get a really long neck that goes all the way up to the top of the fretboard. It's also a thinner neck than some of the Les Pauls have a pretty fat neck on them. There's something about that way that feels that works really well for slide, and you've got your humbuckers, so you got the power and the tone that I wanted. So it just is a guitar that works for me, and I just kind of roll with it. What
kind of pickups are in there?
They're PAF style humbuckers that a friend of mine in LA who makes pickups, custom wound. And we went through a couple sets till we got them where we wanted. And once that guitar was dialed in, I haven't made any changes to it.
That's cool. Yeah. Man. It's funny. I got this one here. It's like a 2014, and I think it's a 61. I wonder if the neck is close, because I'm not a big guy. My hands are just regular size. And man, that neck is so perfect. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, there's something about the neck on those guitars, and some of them can be a little neck heavy. Mine's not, fortunately. And also, what's interesting about the guitar that I use is it had a vibrola when I got it, and it never really stayed in tune. So we took that off and put a stop tailpiece, which I think sounds better. I really do. I think it adds some sustain and some mass to it, having the stop tailpiece. And we left the leer on the guitar, which adds a little bit of mass also.
That's cool.
And I think there might be something to that. I don't know. Sonically, I love it, and it looks cool. So that's it,
Yeah, man. End of conversation. It feels right. Looks good. Boom.
Yeah.
Anybody who influences your playing that people would be surprised to hear?
I listen to a lot of different kinds of music. I listen to a lot of jazz, horn players, I'll give a shout out for some guitar players like Kelly Joe Phelps. You ever hear of Kelly Joe Phelps?
I feel like I have, but I don't have no idea. I have no idea where. Is that it's a he or a she?
It's a he.
I have no idea where he's from.
I don't know his story. I think he's kind of retired from music now, but he plays slide, acoustic slide, and sings, and he's one of my favorites, you know, and he's just somebody that I think maybe a listener that haven't heard of him, you know, would be interested in hearing, you know, and then I just try to listen to as much as possible. Everything from, I mean, someone like, you know, Graham Parsons, countryside, down to like Lee Morgan, you know, a trumpet, you know. I try to listen to whatever music moves me and I dig. I kind of dig into it and I find myself studying it, or it kind of creeps into your playing one way or the other.
Who do you like as far as horn players go? You mentioned horn players.
Well, Lee Morgan's one of my favorites, like the stuff he did with Art Blakey and the Messengers.
Do you ever have that Art Blakey record when he was a pretty famous announcer? The guy comes on, he's got that really high-pitched voice. It's a live record. I want to introduce Art. You know that one I'm talking about? And the guy was a famous dude. That was his thing. He was, you know, an announcer.
Yeah.
It's such a cool record, man. Art Blakey and the Messengers, it was, I think.
Yeah, I love that band. A lot of old jazz. I mean, Miles Davis, of course. You know, I mean, Kind of Blue is one of my favorite records. It really is. There's something cool about, I think, listening to horn players, vocalists. Here's another one. I mean, Aretha Franklin's probably one of my biggest influences on slide guitar, if that makes sense to you. Just the way, if I could make a slide sound 10% as good as Aretha Franklin could sing, I'd be happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so much soul. Or like Mahalia Jackson, that gospel sound.
Yeah, she's got a great voice. Who are some slide? Have you played with a lot of slide players? Have you had the opportunity to play with a lot of slide players?
I haven't played with a lot of slide players, you know. There's certain guys I like, you know.
Like
Blake Mills. Blake Mills is incredible.
Guy, he's in California, right? Youngish guy. Yeah. I've seen him.
We've I think we maybe jammed one time in Malibu, but I really respect his music and his slide playing a lot. And I haven't, it's funny, a lot of times, I don't know what it is. I guess when I'm playing slide, it seems like I'm the guy doing it. I don't come across a lot of slide guitar players.
Well, it's not like there's hundreds of them. There's like a really small handful of guys that are known for playing slide. You know, like Warren Haynes is a slide player, but I don't think people say, oh, you know, that's not his main thing, so he's not known as a slide. Maybe he is. I don't know, but
he's a great slide player.
Oh, he's amazing. But you know,
he's good at everything he does.
Yeah, he really is. Songwriting, singing, guitar playing, his tone. Yeah,
Derek Trucks is the best. I mean, really. I find that a lot of like slide players that are coming up now, though, I think are a little too influenced by what Derek does. I think there's other stuff that's out there that can kind of steer someone who's learning slide into like a different direction. Someone like Blake Mills for new players, or they can go backwards and listen to someone like a Ry Cooder or Lowell George. You know, and get into. There's a lot of ways to go with it, and I still feel like slide guitar is, since not a lot of people do it. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to kind of create your own voice with that.
Totally. Yeah, because it's not a competitive marketplace.
No, I think Derek Trucks has a very identifiable sound in his own voice. So as opposed to trying to study that, I mean, there's things you can learn from it, but to try to find your own voice by listening to other people as well.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between studying something and imitating it.
Totally.
You know, you could learn his phrasing and then put your own spin on it, or learn his, you know, has scales or how he's approached. The thing with him is, it in a way, you shouldn't study him because he did that. That's all he did since he was 5.
Right.
You know, there can never be another guy like him unless you could go back and start at 5. You know, it would be really hard. No, seriously. I mean, you're better off listening to someone like yourself who didn't start playing slide at 5 and see like, okay, you know, is something like that more achievable in a sense of what I'm saying, or, you know, not as, I don't know. I may be just putting my foot in my mouth, so I apologize if I've been known to do that on occasion. Man, you talked about Miles Davis, kind of blue. Let's talk about your Desert Island discs.
Oh, Desert Island.
Yeah, in no particular order.
Yeah, that's such a hard question. It probably changes from day to day or week to week, you know. Yeah. I would have to pick an Allman Brothers record because they are my favorite band, and I think I want to say Where It All Begins, record by the Allman Brothers. It came out in the mid '90s. I want to say like '94. I feel like that was kind of the peak of that lineup with Alan Woody and Warren Haynes.
I would agree with that, man.
As part of the record. And yeah, it's a very live sounding. It's very live sounding recording. I think the songwriting is killer on it. And I know for sure that it would sound good on a desert island because I've listened to it a lot at the beach and it works great.
There you go.
Yeah. So what else we got? Probably want to say it'd be hard to pick. I would need to have a blues record in there. It would be hard to pick one. One of my favorites is Buddy Guy. He has a record called Sweet Tea. Yeah. That came out in the early 2000s. And that record is nasty. I mean, it is just the dirtiest blues record I've come across.
I'm almost positive I have that one, man. Yeah. Buddy Guy. Yeah. I actually don't. I have to check that out now. And what would be number 3, man?
Gosh, number 3 could be anything. I'm trying to pick. I would say let's go with I'd probably have to say Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, because that's just a record that I would never tire of. And it always kind of resets me musically whenever I feel like I need some sort of grounding or kind of a reset. Like I said, you know, it's just such a perfect record.
So let me ask you this. You're going to go home in a few days, and it's your first time in 5 weeks, and you're going back out for another, 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, well, we got 3 weeks in Europe, and then we come home for maybe about 10 days, and then we do like another month run in the States.
So when you go home for those few days next week, what do you do to reset, since you just mentioned reset? Like, you got to decompress. I'm sure you got to hang out with your wife, obviously, but what do you do to decompress for yourself?
I can't wait to see my wife, to be honest.
That's great, man.
To see her.
I'm sure.
And I want to spend as much time as I can when I get home with her. And as far as decompressing goes, I practice hot yoga, and it's something that keeps me really centered and physically feeling good, mentally feeling good. And I've been fortunate to find a few yoga spots on the road.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And actually, I just got my first Pilates class a couple days ago when we were in Canada, because we met a Pilates instructor who came to the show and invited us to the studio, and Duane and I took a private class. It was great, you know.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, but anyways, when I get home, I'm looking forward to getting back into the yoga room and doing that. It just what I do to kind of get my game face on, you know, just get to feeling really good. Try to stay fit on the road. It's just not you're kind of working with a lot of variables with timing and food.
Food is tough, man.
Yeah. Sleep, all these things. Yeah. So you're kind of at the mercy of this big moving thing. So,
yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing when I get home.
Good for you, man. I hope you enjoy it. Most important things, man, that you've learned about yourself over this time. And you're a young cat, so you got a lot more time to go, obviously.
I mean, the most important thing is sometimes I think it's easy to get down on something. You know, it's easy to let something depress you. But what I've learned is that when I start having those thoughts or those feelings, I immediately kind of switch it and go like, well, how do I not be depressed about that? Like, what do I need to do? And I've learned that a lot of times when those feelings come up, it's kind of a signal that you need to, like, you know, shift what you're doing or maybe focus on something else. So I think I learned that from yoga also, just being, you know, meditative and trying to be aware of what's going on and what's happening. And basically just don't be too hard on yourself. And like when stuff comes up that can depress you, instead of letting that take you down, you know, in a spiral, you can use it as a tool to figure out, I should probably be doing something else at this moment. So what is that?
That's cool, man. Yeah, because being down sucks.
Yeah,
for sure. Especially when you're alone on the road. I'm imagining it's not any easier. It's probably infinitely harder. Not infinitely, but it's probably significantly harder.
It can be. I mean, everybody has a bad day. That's the way it goes. You know, I think how quickly you can bounce back from that it's beneficial for you and for everybody else around you.
Best childhood memory, Johnny?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with getting my first guitar. Yeah, that was first electric guitar, Christmas Day.
Great story.
It's funny. I think about that. I can vividly see it happening now, and I was 12 years old, which is 30 years ago.
That's great, man. Yeah, what a good story that is.
I never knew I would be here talking to you today from the Arcada Theater in Chicago.
That's so funny.
On that day.
Yeah, isn't that wild? Tell me something about yourself people would either be surprised to hear or might find a little odd. You like don't seem like you have like anything odd about you. You seem extremely like normal.
I love reptiles.
That's odd, man. Yeah.
I love snakes and I love lizards, and I will, if I see a snake on a hiking trail, I will pick it up.
Really? Do you have like a pet snake at home or a pet like iguana or something?
I don't. I had iguanas as a kid, but my mom hates snakes and my wife hates snakes. So I've never had a snake.
Yeah. In general, I think that's not a woman thing, you know?
No, they don't dig it.
Well, when you come and play Florida, man, I could take you out.
I love
and you
Florida.
can pet lizards and salamanders all day long here, man.
I know. It's weird. I want to go hang out with the alligators.
Happiest moment or time in your life so far?
Comes in waves, you know. I'd have to say, in terms of music, this summer.
This summer right now, because of all the
summer that's happening right now. Yeah,
that's great.
You know, in my personal life, you know, my wedding day.
Dude, you need to play this for your wife. You're gonna get some serious brownie points.
Well, it's true.
I know. That's what I'm saying. This is really good.
It is what it is, man.
It is. That's great, man. I have a question. Your most important person in your life, let's assume it's your wife, right?
Yeah, you answered that one for me.
Yeah, that's good, man. Who's had the biggest influence on you?
Biggest influence on me? Well, musically, I would say Duane Allman.
That's where you first got turned on to slide?
It is, yeah. I was so into blues music, and then at the time I was in high school and I discovered Lynyrd Skynyrd, and then I discovered the Grateful Dead, and then I found the Allman Brothers, and that kind of bridged the gap for me, and it was like game over. This is my favorite band, and just I think Duane Allman is the reason why I play slide guitar. Just hearing that opening of Statesboro Blues, I mean, from the first moment I heard it, I was like, I want to do that. That's the sound I want to do.
That's a pretty compelling opening for slide. I mean, it's just perfect, actually.
I don't know that it gets much better than that, man. Yeah.
Most important thing your dad taught you?
Oh, my dad, he's real competitive. Oh, and whether it was for him, it was really sports and things. He loved to play baseball, and growing up as a kid, he would always, you know, play sports with us. But he turned me on to music, and he was always had this like real competitive nature, and he was just never really satisfied with like if I would bring him a song or show him something, you know, it's like, he always kind of like instilled this, like, you need to work a little harder. You need to do a little bit more, you know? And he just kept the bar really high. I mean, it was kind of painful, really.
But do you think it helped you though?
I totally think it helped me. I don't think you really get good at something without having a kick in the ass. You know, I mean, it requires, when you're in it, it's really a struggle, and you're like, man, I can't make my dad happy. I can't do it, you know, but you just keep working harder. You keep working harder. And then you get older and you realize I never would have worked this hard if I didn't have that fire under my ass all this time. So I really appreciate that now as an adult, that he was that way with me. And now he's like my biggest fan, which is like a whole switch on the, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to process that.
That's got to be great, man. That must be wonderful. Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah.
That's
it's
so
kind of
cool.
like, yeah, he's open about it. He's kind of like, well, now you get, you know, why I pushed you so hard, you know.
That's nice. Great for him.
Proud.
Great for you.
Yeah, he's super proud.
How about mom? What's the most important thing she taught you?
My mom was she was the hardest worker I've ever known. So she taught me how to work hard. Yeah. And she also, very important, my mother taught me to never give up. She would not let me quit. If I wanted to do something, like, for example, if I was playing football in high school and I played my freshman year, did pretty good, played football my second year, everybody started getting bigger than me, you know, and I just wanted to play guitar, and I was like, you know, I'm going to quit football. And she was like, no, you're not. You signed up. You're going to finish the season. Then you can decide if you want to do it again, you know. And she didn't want me to get hurt either. But at the same time, I think she always kind of, whatever it was, she taught me to see it through and that I could do it, you know.
That probably helped you stick around in music, man.
Yeah, because it's easy to get disheartened, you know, and then get off path if you're not.
I read a quote recently. It was like Walt Disney said, you know, the reason most people fail is simply because they quit too early. Yeah. So if you think about that, it's like, you know.
It was the same thing like going to college. Like it got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to finish. And my mom she worked so hard to put us through school, me and my brother. And she was like, you know, you're going to finish. And when I did graduate, I felt like time just expired. Like you eventually get, you know what I mean? Like, long enough, it will come to like some sort of conclusion. So there's a big lesson in that, I think.
What are you proudest of, both musically and personally? Again, so far, you got a lot more stuff to do.
I'm proudest of just sticking with music, you know, through all of the challenges that have come up along the way, and kind of seeing it through. And I'm really happy to be at a place now where I can look back and realize that a lot of the things that I've been through as a musician was really just preparing me for being where I wanted to go in the first place. So, I'm happy to be, you know, on tour with great musicians and playing music every night. And it's a blessing. I don't take it lightly. You know, I think, if that comes too early in your career or not the right time, I think it can be a dangerous transition, and to have a full appreciation for where you're at, I think is really important, and it means a lot. You know, you want to do the best you can.
Any hobbies or interests outside of music? I know you don't have a lot of time.
Yeah, no, I like bodyboarding.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're from LA. That makes sense.
Yeah. I live in Santa Monica, so live by the beach and go to Malibu, and I rarely have time to do it anymore. So it's mostly just guitar.
Yeah, that's a lot. I've asked a bunch of people that question. You have any hobbies outside of music? Yeah, guitar.
Songwriting, singing, like all these things, right?
Yeah. Has there ever been like an embarrassing or a funny thing that's happened to you on stage or in the studio?
I'm sure there has. I can tell you a crazy experience on stage.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if it's not really embarrassing. It's crazy. One of the craziest stories I have. But I was playing this gig at a blues club in LA, and I was, we're playing the gig, and people are throwing money on the stage, just throwing money as I'm playing.
Were you like naked or something?
I was just playing guitar solos. Every time I started soloing, money started flying, like it was raining money. And we finished our set, and the whole stage is covered in money. It was the strangest thing ever. And so I took all the money and I put it in the back of my amplifier, my guitar amp, because I didn't, want to make sure that somebody didn't run off with it or whatever. Go back up for the second set, and the same thing starts happening again. As soon as I start playing a guitar solo, it starts raining money again. I mean, I didn't know how I felt about it at the time. It was hilarious, really. And so I took all the money and I put it in the back of my amplifier again. At the end of the night, I took all the cash out and I gave it to the band. It was like as tip money.
That was so cool.
Yeah. No, it gets stranger than that. But we just thought it was the strangest thing. Like, I've never seen anything like that happen. And a couple days go by, and I'm driving around LA with my gear. I'm going to rehearsals, I'm going to gigs, and I'm at another gig. And at the end of the night, I go to put the case on my amplifier, and there's a bill on the back of my amplifier. And I was like, oh, there's no, and I pick it up in the back of my amp, and it's got like some weight to it. And I open up the bill, and it was full of cocaine. And I don't do drugs. I never have. And I was like in shock. But basically I think they threw that up there also. So it kind of made sense to me. It's just this crazy situation where people were out of their minds. And
what the?
Yeah. So, and I'm thinking, okay, well, shit, I've been driving around as a musician in LA. I'm driving around with like this in the back of my amplifier. Are you kidding me? So I took it and I flushed it down the toilet, and that's the end of that story. So
holy cow, that is bizarre.
Right? Yeah. That's probably the strangest thing that's ever happened to me playing music.
Yeah, that is extremely nutty, man.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever hear anything on that, or like?
No, that was the end of that. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I haven't even told very many people, but
wow.
It just always stuck in my memory as being like, man, that could have been a bad situation.
Did you tell the rest of the band?
One of the band members at the time.
Because they would have been like, dude, why didn't you split the cocaine?
there was that whole decision that went down. It was kind of like, it's kind of like, I was like, well, how do you know where it came from? And he's like, well, do you ever know where it comes from?
Yeah. Holy crap.
I don't do it. So it didn't matter to me.
Sure,
I wasn't interested.
No, I get you. Wow. That is bizarre, man. Very strange.
Yeah. So those people must have been really bummed out, because I'm pretty sure that they would not have wanted to give that to me that night. It was an accident.
Yeah, that's what happened. Someone threw it out of their pocket, and it was, the whole thing is bizarre, but yeah, that one in particular.
Bizarre. Yeah.
Wow. And then it's not like someone's going to call and say, hey, I meant to throw money and I actually threw my cocaine up there. Can you, Yeah. Wow. That whole thing is weird though. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey man, one more question. What has been the biggest change in your personality over the last 7 to 10 years? And how much of this change has been deliberate and how much is just a part of aging?
Yeah, the biggest, I think, is just really learning to be, I found a new level of gratitude for everything that we do as musicians. I think for the longest time, I feel like I said this earlier, but you get to a point in music where you're working so hard and you feel like you deserve more, or you deserve this. And it doesn't always shape up to be the story that you want it to be, but when you start to find gratitude in what you're doing from day to day, all that goes away, and opportunities start coming and things open up, and you're just generally in a better mood and a happier person. And I think that allows for you to get to the place where you're supposed to go musically anyways. So I've really learned that as, I think it's part of getting older and just being really appreciative of, it's a gift to be alive. It's a gift to play guitar. It's a gift to play music. And when you think about it, I mean, if you can walk on stage and think about the fact that you're really here to make those people happy that are out there paid money to see you play, then all of that fear goes away. All the anxiety goes away. All of the struggles of getting to that gig, they go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that mindset is something that I've learned, that's helped me a lot.
Man, well, thank you. I appreciate everything. And I really, thanks. Appreciate getting to know you, and thanks for your time. And I want to tell people where to find you. Oh. First of all, it's Johnny Stachela, and his last name is spelled Stachela. And so he's got a really good website at johnnystachela.com. He's got, first of all, go out and support him on the Duane, Betts, and Devon Allman tour, and come see the guys. Come say hello to Johnny. He's a tremendous guitar player. The other things that he has got a really good EP. That his last EP that came out is called Handle It. It's by the Johnny Stachela Band. And again, that's available right there on his website. It's a whopping $5. Go buy it now. And he also is available for doing tracks. And I just found out that he also does slide guitar lessons. So, that's not a thing that you find very often. And if someone's teaching you slide, it may be someone that knows how to play slide. But there's a difference between, learning slide from someone who knows how to play slide and learning slide who's out there on the front lines in the foxhole every single night playing slide. So if you're looking to learn slide, or if you already know how to play and you're looking to improve your game, go to Johnny's website and go to the contact form and hit him up. Again, it's Johnny Stachela, Stachela.com. And anything else I missed, man?
No, man. It's been great talking. I think that's it.
Likewise. And I want to thank Matt Slahetka for the introduction here. So thanks to Matt. And I interviewed Matt. What's that?
We didn't get to talk about Matt. He's a great guy.
Yeah. How'd you meet Matt? How do you guys know each other?
We know each other there was a really cool bar in Hollywood called a Piano Bar, where we all used to play music together. And it was kind of the hub for all the great musicians in town. I mean, you could go in there any time of the day or night, music was playing, and you'd probably end up on stage playing with whoever was there. Matt and I met there, and we did a show together with Mike Campbell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Where we both did opening sets. It was with Mike Campbell's band, the Dirty Knobs. Yeah.
Very cool, man.
But yeah, he's a good friend. We just started to really kind of connect, and then he moved from LA to Nashville. So I haven't seen him in a little bit, but good guy.
I'm sure your paths will cross on the road. He's all over the place as you are, man.
Yeah, it'll happen, I'm sure.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview as much as I did. I want to say thanks again to Johnny Stachela for spending time with us. Again, check him out online, johnnystachela.com. It's Stachela. I really appreciate it, and come see him on tour with Duane, Betts, and Devon Allman. Make sure you go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get on our newsletter list right now. And most important, remember that happiness is a choice, so choose wisely. Be nice, go play your guitar, and have some fun. Till next time, peace and love, everybody. I'm out. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.